Esigi and Arhuaran, a tale of two princes of ancient Benin kingdom. Queen Oloi Ohonmi and Queen Oloi Idia, two of King Oba Ozolua's wives, both gave birth to their sons on the same day while he was in power between 1483 and 1514 AD. Queen Ohonmi gave birth to her first son in the morning. He was called Arhuanran and was given the name Idubor. On the other hand, later that same day, Oloi Idia gave birth, and the child was named Osawe, and who became king, Oba Esigi. Unlike every other typical newborn, Idubor did not cry out at the time of delivery. Around that time, it was a taboo to announce the birth of a mute prince to the king. But because Queen Idia's newborn cried out immediately after birth, Oba Ozolua was informed, and he declared him his crown prince right away, relegating Idubor to the number 2 position. As Idubor grew older and learned about his birthright, he became increasingly resentful of his situation. He frequently questioned his mother about whether the monarch was indeed his father and the cruel way in which he had taken away his birthright. According to legend, Idubor, Arhuanran, developed into a gigantic adult. He literally used just his bare hands to chop down palm trees and rake the fronds across the ground. He proved to be an excellent warrior too, with the unquestionable benefit of strength and stature. History demonstrates that Oba Ozolua's eldest sons were not, in fact, Idubor and Osawe. Their older brother, Ogidigbo, was rumored to have suffered a crippling after engaging in warfare with his peers. He was unable to succeed his father because of his disability. The people of the kingdom secretly accused Queen Idia of causing the tragedy, and she used her enchanted abilities to guarantee that her son, Osawe, Oba Esigi, would succeed to the throne. Oba Ozolua had already granted his sons dukedoms prior to his death in 1504. This was done to prevent chaos during the upcoming dispute. Arhuanran was consequently installed Duke of Udo, a considerably populated and developed municipality not far from Benin, as recompense. Arhuanran, whose hatred for his brother Osawe, Oba Esigi, grew to the point where he attempted to assassinate him. This was also fueled by his knowledge of his stepmother, Queen Idia's involvement in the elimination of their father's first son, known as Ogidogbo. Arhuanran was a warrior and the conqueror of the formidable town of Okumu. He was larger and stronger than Esigi, who Oba Ozolua had sent to the Portuguese mission school following his baptism, and he could have easily defeated him. Esigi was wiser but weaker than Arhuanran. Had it not been for Idia, who was said to possess magical abilities and whom Arhuanran knew was a dangerous foe he had to defeat, his efforts at assassination might have been successful. Oral legend states that Arhuanran withdrew to Uroho community to study black magic from an elderly sorceress named Ianuroho Okpehu, after realizing he needed to develop supernatural abilities to confront Idia, who served as her son's spiritual guardian. The fact that he chooses a female tutor indicates that he realized he was up against a female and that, to win, he needed to master the ways of feminine magical powers. It is important to acknowledge that Esigi may not have had battle experience because he was compelled to attend the Portuguese missionary school instead of assisting his father in fighting battles. The Duke of Udo, Arhuanran, refused to submit to his brother, Oba Esigi, and initially attempted to establish Udo as the capital of the Benin kingdom, with himself as its ruler. This was due to his refusal to recognize the reality of the situation. It was not long before the two brothers went to war to establish their authority over the whole realms of Benin and Udo. The war was tough, acrimonious, and prolonged. Udo wasn't vanquished until the third campaign. The timing of the third campaign coincided with when planting season arrives and Udo citizens and soldiers, the majority of whom were farmers, would be occupied with their fields. Meanwhile, Arhuanran had two sons, Kapamabira and Onioni. They were ruling alongside their father, but before the war, Kapamabira passed away. Before their father's most recent conflict with his brother Oba Esigi, Arthurian warned his family to keep an ear out for the ring of the magical bell he had hidden somewhere in the house, and instructed his surviving son, Onioni, to stay at home and wait for his return. He clarified that they would know his brother, Oba Esigi, had prevailed in the fight if it rang. Afterwards, while battling on the front lines, Arhuanran was astounded to find a young man fighting exactly like him. Without second thought, he employed a potent enchantment, telling the sword in Edo local dialect, Ajibi Vibi Nimi Jibi Ne Umozo Jibi Rieyowe, to slay the imposter combatant right now. When the warrior passed away at that same moment, Arhuanran learned that the man who had his fighting prowess was his adored son, Onioni. Arhuanran was unaware that his son had secretly joined the war. Arhuanran increased the intensity of his attack on his brother's army out of pain and wrath until there was no winner on the battlefield. This accidental event demoralized him so badly. When it became clear that triumph was not going to come, Arhuanran made the decision to leave on time, but his moves were not fast enough. Because their home's enchanted bell was ringing at this point, the Udo people assumed Oba Esiji had defeated their duke. His wife died when she jumped into a river near Lake Odigi because of this alleged tragedy. Upon arriving home, Arhuanran saw that his beautiful wife had jumped into the river known as Odigi Lake. He was really depressed. His wife passed away and his children had died before now. Arhuanran, who was despondent, also dove into the lake to find his spouse. He was not interested in being taken prisoner. He left his coral beads necklace, Ivy, a priceless symbol of authority in Benin, hanging from a tree branch where it was plainly visible before diving into the lake. Such awards from defeated or dead rulers and nobility were only inherited by the Oba. Oba Esiji now wore his late brother's necklace out of enthusiasm. He immediately experienced mental disorientation after putting the necklace around his neck. Nothing changed even when the jewelry was taken off his neck. As soon as possible, the monarch was returned to Benin in his terrible condition. Idia, his mother, promptly found a mysterious indigenous physician in the riverine area of Ugbo Ilaje and brought him to Benin to treat the king's spiritual illness. Later, he healed the Oba of the disgraceful illness, and the queen showered him with gifts. She prevailed on the mysterious healer to make Benin his permanent home and continue serving Oba Esiji if circumstances warrant. The traditional consultant consented to remain in Benin and established himself at the Ogbalaka quarters, where his descendants have flourished ever since. Udo people believe Arhuanran did not pass away on when he entered the Lake Odigi. They say he still ventures out at night to protect his people by parading the village of Udo. Prior to today, in the cool of the evenings, whenever Arhuanran emerged from the lake, all the infants in Udo town would cry uncontrollably because of the water. This pattern compelled the individuals of Udo to make a spiritual supplication to Arhuanran. The young children stopped crying when he emerged from the lake after certain rites are performed by the elders. Moreover, one fascinating Philomena usually occur in Udo. The river the wife dived into is directly opposite the Odigi Lake. The lake and this river are separated by a road. The river always crosses the road to meet the lake where Arhuanran took his own life once a year. According to legend, a little boy was shooting birds near the lake and a stone had fallen into it while a group of Udo people were coming from their farm in the early 1950s. Suddenly, there was a thunderous noise coming from the lake, and a strong wind was blowing, causing many trees in the area to tremble. The youngster felt sick at that very moment and was taken home to receive medical attention. Udo town took advantage of the occasion to inform the public that Arhuanran was not dead after all and was still alive in the lake, especially because there was never any evidence of his demise. Thanks for watching. To view more of this kind of interesting videos, please kindly share, like, comment, and subscribe to our page and channels on TikTok, Eugenio Kunogai Facebook, Eugenio Kunogai Instagram, Eugenio Kunogai Twitter, Eugene David Zoto.